Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between. You know what it is, and you know who it be. Intellect, the one and only, homie. And I'm here to introduce y'all to the Intellectual Podcast. Tried this before, then I got caught up doing some other shit, and I'm back. So here it is, and I'm gonna just jump right into it. This is about basically whatever I see that I'm interested in talking about, current events. Sorry about that. Current events to news and sports, obviously, because I'm into MMA and boxing. I'm into kickboxing too, but I don't know too much about the fighters in kickboxing, other than Bada Harvey's a badass. But things like that. And so yeah, I'm be covering things that I find of interest and things that just I come up with, and if not, it's just gonna be me rambling about some bullshit. So what I usually do anyway, but recording it, and all one or two of you, if anyone, accidentally clicked onto this link and have already turned it off by this point, or listening to. So yeah, let's get into it. And big news out of MMA today: Ronda Rousey is reportedly fighting Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes, my bad. At I think it's UFC 207 on December 30th. If that's, I think it's in Vegas. If that's the case, I'm just kind of mad that Aldo didn't get the McGregor fight. If Ronda gets to be out for this long, not fight after getting dismantled and KO'd, and getting to fight for the belt, even though it's not the same person. Like in Aldo's case, but at least Aldo came back and he beat Frankie Edgar, who is the most dangerous guy at 145, in everyone's opinion. So, and he took him out in UFC 200 in a great performance in a 5-round war that wasn't the most exciting fight, but it was a really good and really entertaining fight if you're into martial arts. So yeah, I'm glad she's back. Hopefully, she's into it. Hopefully this is not an obligation in the contract. Hopefully this is still her passion, because I know some losses affect people different, and certain losses can devastate people, and that's the kind of loss that could devastate somebody. So on that note, hopefully she does well. She has the tools to be Amanda Nunes, and she comes out 100%, meaning like not physically. I know she'll be physically. I mean mentally. If her heart's in it, her mind's in it, she's focused, and she's going out for blood. She's not punch shy because she got KO last time, and she's fighting Amanda Nunes, who is a front runner and is a really powerful striker. Really powerful. Just ask Misha Tate. She'll tell you. UFC 200, brutal beatdown. It was a bully beatdown almost. I was like, "Where's Jason Mayhem Miller at? This is ridiculous." Yeah, it was. It's gonna be a bad matchup. I mean, she can win. She can take her down. She can wear her out, and she can submit her. This all can happen. But if she doesn't take her down and she has to stand with her, and her striking hasn't gotten that much better. I know it has gotten better, but it can't get leaps and bounds better. I'm sure she has a new punch or two, a new trick in her trade. She might hopefully incorporate some more leg kicks and body kicks, even high kicks, because she doesn't really have to be worried about getting taken down because she's good off her back. So we'll see. It's gonna be a very interesting matchup, and I'm looking very much forward to it. So sticking on MMA and that subject, let's talk about the one and only Conor. Who the fuck is that? McGregor. I'm sorry, my Irish accent isn't too good unless I'm saying stuck in the mud. That's the only time I kind of sound a little Irish. Other than that, it's like it's not working, bro. I try and I fail. But yeah, heard he got supposedly knocked out by one of his sparring partners, and as somebody who's been a sparring partner for many people and has had sparring partners, it's like you don't do that. You work, you don't hurt. This is one of the most basic things you learn in the gym. You work, you do not hurt. On top of that, you do not brag about gym wars. Gym wars happen. I've been in many gym wars. I've won more than I lost, but I've lost a few. I've definitely won a lot though. It's my ego. It's my male ego talking like you. But I would never say against who, because even though some of those dudes are somewhat big names, like some people might not know, some people might. It's like I wouldn't say anything because that doesn't matter. That's a gym war, and as fighters, that code. Like, yo, you don't break. What happens here happens here. Like, if you're recording it, it's a little different. Sometimes I have, and you could check my channel, I have recorded sparring matches, but it's always against friends. The only time I recorded against somebody who wasn't a friend was when I was recording when I was sparring with people who were friends, and he just happened to be in the mix. And that's the one body shot video that I have. It's this dude named Sean. He's a cool dude, but I hadn't met him at this point. He was a karate dude, kickboxer, and he was throwing like a lot of wild kicks. So I had to like keep him off with body shots, and caught a good one on him. I think it was a left hook to the body, and he had to stop for all. He wasn't out or anything. He just it hurt, and he had to walk it off for a little. But that's different because it's like I recorded that, and it's not like anything you're bragging about. It's like, yo, what happens? You get caught with a shot, man. You play, you pay, man. You're in the ring. You're gonna get caught at some point. I don't care who you are. Mayweather gets hit. Mayweather gets hit. If Anderson Silva in his prime got hit, you getting hit. If Ali got hit, you getting hit. Main thing about boxing, about any combat sport that involves striking, is you cannot be scared to get hit. So you're going to get hit. People are gonna get hurt. People are gonna get dropped. This happens, but to brag about it or to leak it, hopefully it's a false story, but from the reports and people's inclinations as far as major people and major reporters who follow the sport, it seems that it's kind of might be legit. So I hope it's not the case. I hope he doesn't come in compromised, because I forgot exactly what fight it was, but Tyson came into a fight compromise where in sparring he got knocked out cold, and I'm pretty sure he lost that fight. I just can't remember which fight it was that he lost, but I remember hearing those rumors later on. Obviously, it wasn't during the fight. It was years later after people reporting, well, this, that, and the third, and seeing documentaries and interviews and him even saying that type of stuff. Because it happens, people get caught in gym wars, So unless you guys are cool, but you don't say that before a fight either. If you want to say that years later, that's different, because then that doesn't affect the fighter. If the fighter's retired already, like, yeah, one day I got the best of him, every other day he kicked my ass, that's cool. I've been in the ring with certain dudes who were way better fighters than me, and I got them a few days. The few days I got them, and most of the days they got me. It was when I was coming up, and I wouldn't be like, hey, one day I fucked this dude up really bad. It's like, nah, it's like it happens. Some people have off days. Sometimes you have an on day. Sometimes some people are tired. Sometimes it's just not feeling. You're nursing an injury. There's many things that go into this, so it's not cool for a sparring partner to be bragging about this. And like I said, I'm gonna be rambling about shit. So, think that rhymed, did it? Who cares? So yeah, on that note, hopefully Conor McGregor's fine, and hopefully that sparring partner is fired and is reprimanded for that, because that is not cool. It's like, you don't do that. You just don't do that. That's God code. That's bro code. You know what I mean? That's homie code. You don't do that. You don't break those laws. So on that note, speaking about UFC 205, because that's the card that Connor's going to be on. That's an amazing card. I can't wait to see that. Frankie Edgar versus Jeremy Stephens. Main event of the prelims. When that's a main event of a prelim, shit is going to be bananas. B-A-N-A. Yeah, it's going to be crazy and shit. When you think of saying something, and then should I say it out loud? It'll be funny. And then when you say it out loud, it's like, nah, you just sounded retarded, dude. Yeah, you're welcome. You just experienced that moment. It meant something. It's gone now. But yeah, as far as UFC 204, Yoel Romero versus Chris Weidman, as Joe Rogan would say, googly moogly. What the fuck? I don't know how else to say. It's like, holy shit balls. This is gonna be the shit. What? It's not even the main event. And we got two other title fights. Wonder Boy versus Tyron Woodley. That's an incredible matchup. Let's go down to the Wyman fight for it, because I want to break this down. Yoel Romero has a striking of very elusive striking. I was gonna say striking as Anderson Silva, but he's not Anderson Silva. But he has that type of format of being elusive and throwing kicks and punches from weird angles and being fast. But the only difference is he is a ridiculously good grappler. He took Jacare down with ease and dominated him while he was on top. You know who does that? Nobody else. That's who does that. All right, that was insane. Like for example, Musasi has a win over Jacare, and that's from an up kick knockout. And how do you get an up kick? By being on your back. And Gegard Mousasi is an incredibly good grappler. Just as Vitor Belfort, who's also an incredibly good grappler in the fight that just passed. I think it was this weekend. It was this weekend. Great. So, yeah, that was cool. You know, it's like I can't wait to see that matchup because the way Yoel Romero covers ground, maintains distance, it's going to give anybody problems. And Weidman, who's kind of a slow, plodding, technical. He's a very technical, but he's kind of like slow plodding. He kind of follows you a little bit. He cuts the ring off very well at times, or the cage off. He cuts the cage off very well at times, but he does tend to follow people sometimes. That's what happened to him in the later rounds against Luke Rockhold. Obviously, that ill-advised spinning heel kick was horrendous. It was a bad mistake we all make when, unfortunately for him, it cost him the fight and his title and his health because that was a brutal beatdown that he endured. It showed he had heart, but the only problem with showing you have heart is that a little bit goes away. It's like that's just a little more out the gas tank that he can never take again. Like he could still take a beating, but he will never be able to take that kind of beating again. His body will quit before that. How much before that, we don't know. Hopefully, if he did the right thing and recovered well and didn't spar for a few months, and didn't work out or do anything for at least the first few weeks to let his body and mind completely recover, then then he might be back at 100. Hopefully, especially with modern science and all that. They should be good, but who knows? Because there's certain things that are reversible, and beatings like that are irreversible. And then again, you got people like Michael Bisping. Just look at his last two fights in England against Anderson Silva and Dan Henderson. Like he took a beating. Like his face looked like he was in a car accident and a car won. It's like, and he's still fine. After the Anderson Silva fight, he knocked out Luke Rockhold. I was about to say Michael Bisping knocked out Michael Bisping. I'm retarded. Hopefully nobody got triggered by me calling myself retarded. But yeah, it's just weird how certain people can take damage and other people can't. Certain people can take sustained damage and not be messed up even years later, and others can't. So that's also one of the main reasons why I was like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna keep fighting. It's like I'm good. I know I'm good. I'm not the best, obviously, but I'm better than I thought I'd be, and better than I'm supposed to be. And I've had fun, and I have my faculties. I'm just not gonna, risk it. Even just sparring. Like I haven't sparred in well over a year, and it's like I miss it a lot, especially when I watch fights. It's like I get that itch, but I just care about my health more. It's like the older I get, I'm in my early 30s now, and I don't want to risk my not remembering this. You know what I'm saying? Because I came up with a lot of fighters. Some that made it, some that didn't. And some of those fighters, after just the first 4 or 5 years, they were punch drunk. And that shit was crazy. It's like to see somebody complete character change because of fighting. And this is before we knew about brain damage. Thankfully I took some ass whoopings, but I definitely learned to not take them. I tailor-made my style to be elusive. After getting in the ring, I was like, yeah, I just don't. I know I could get hit, and sometimes I like it. That feeling of all right, I'm hurt. I gotta get back. I gotta find a way to hurt him and survive. You know what I'm saying? So I just realized that I don't want to do that too much. I think I've only been dropped once. and it was in my first fight. You know, I was outmatched. It was like I had mostly been kickboxing and doing jiu-jitsu for the first 6 months of training, and started boxing within like the last month or two, and they put me in a boxing match against a dude who was better than this one guy I was sparring who was too good for me. Like he was too advanced for me because he had been boxing for a few years, and that dude I fought, who's my homie, like I actually sparred him years later, and yeah, we're cool. He's a good dude. His name is Johnny, and the, my sparring partner who had to take it easy on me because he was way better than me, he beat that dude in his last fight, and he had a bunch of fights, and it was my so I was obviously outmatched. Like, it showed me that I had heart, you know, because most people were like, yeah, like they weren't even like they were feeling bad. Like you could see it in their face, like dude, like I think he's gonna knock you out quick. Like, you know, it's like I survived to the second round and I got dropped. I wasn't out. I wanted to keep going. I remember the judge, it was this dude. I know from the gym. I'm not gonna just give him a shout out because I don't really like the dude. But he told me, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Can you push my head? What's it called?" Like I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Can you push my headpiece up? Because I can't, like, you know, my head guard, whatever the fuck it's called, you know." And I was like, "Yeah, can you just push it up a little because it's kind of covering my eyes and shit. Because when I got hit, it kind of like covered it." He was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Dude, I'll do it myself." And I moved. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Cool. Just get out the way." And then the this dude Mark, who was the sensei, was on the side. He was hearing us talk. He was just like, "Yeah, just stop it." So they stopped the fight. I was like, I wasn't complaining though. I ain't gonna lie. I was willing to go out, but I wasn't happy about it because I remember after the first round, like I had took a massive beating, and then after that, I came back in the second round. I just was like, they were like my corner, like weren't even people I was training. We were just some of the trainers of that gym, and I remember them telling me like, "Dude, jab and grab and like and some others like jabbing something." They were talking about jabbing and like try to stay away and survive type of stuff, you know. And I was like, all right, like I know where I'm at. Like, you know, I've seen enough fights as a kid to know what was going on. So I just went in there. I actually got him like with a good barrage to the body, and I kind of turned around the second round around, and then he caught me with a good shot. And then I remember being wobbly, getting rocked, and I just remember literally biting down on my mouthpiece, and it was like I just told myself like I don't know if I said like this is it or like uh, let it all go type of. I just remember biting down and throwing everything I had until I got caught, and then before I realized it, I remember swinging, and then my legs being like, "Excuse me, real quick." It's like that what's it called again? Richard Pryor joke, but it was different. It felt like my legs felt like spaghetti, like they did like the little like kind of like a snake dance, you know, like you kind of like shake a little to the left and right. I was like, "Whoop!" Like, "Excuse me, real quick. I'm just gonna move to the side," and I fell down. I was like, ah, I like lost my equilibrium, got up, and told you about that. But yeah, so yeah, major detour talking about myself, but it is my podcast, so suck it easy. And back to the Wyman and sorry about that. Dropped the water bottle. Empty one. Back to the Wyman and Romero. Like his Romero striking is really good, and his distance and his grappling. I don't see Chris Wyman winning the first round at all. He might catch him, but I see the only way Wyman's winning this fight is surviving the early storm, wearing him down in the second and third round, and possibly stopping him in the third round because Romero has been known to gas in the third round, but he can also get a knockout while he's gassed. Just ask Tim Kennedy in that very controversial fight. So yeah, that's going to be an incredible fight. The females strawweight title fight, that's going to be an amazing fight. I don't know the other girl's name and how to pronounce it correctly, or Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I'm butchering the name, so I can't. Both are great. I'm leaning towards the champion. I think Joanna just gonna destroy her brutally, and it sucks because the other girl's cute. She's cool. I like her as a fighter. She's a good fighter. She just beat Rose. It was in a really good fight. And Wonder Boy and Tyrone. Woo! You got classic karate-based kickboxing versus classic, quick-handed, athletic, moving forward boxing with explosive wrestling. This is going to be an incredible fight. The main thing about this fight, it's the main factor that might not even factor in the fight because someone might just get caught early and stopped. The main factor is if Tyrone Woodley can take down Wonder Boy, and if he could keep him down, and who gets more tired from that. Because a lot of things people don't realize about grappling, just because you're on top of the guy doesn't make it any less work for you. Being on top of the guy and laying and all that, some people think, oh, you're resting. It's really not resting when the dude knows how to buck and knows how to turn on his hips and make certain movements that force you to work, or they're going to escape, or possibly put you in a submission because they're setting something up and you're constantly having to work. A lot of people don't realize that is very tiring after you initially grab the person and either pick them up or drag them to the ground, which is a lot of energy that you have to waste and exhaust to do that. I don't care who you are. I don't care how well conditioned you are. It's going to take a little bit out of you, and then you have to keep a person from bucking on you. It's like, it's like there's a reason rodeos people can't stay on a bull for more than 8 seconds, and when they do, it's an accomplishment because it's hard keeping someone from bucking on you, especially someone who's not doing it with brute force but doing it with technique. Some people could be explosive, some people could, Kevin Randall and some people can Damian Maya and just catch you in a quick, or Nogueira you and just catch you in a quick sweep, and before you know it, you're on your back and you're getting submitted, asking what happened. It's like there's a lot of variation when it comes to taking people down, and the reason someone like Damian Maya is more successful at being on top of somebody than someone like Woodley is because Damian Maya is better at jiu-jitsu. He's incredibly great at jiu-jitsu, as to where Woodley is good at jiu-jitsu, but he's great at wrestling and controlling you. There's a difference between controlling and technically finding yourself from point A to point B to lock a submission. There's very different versions and ways of grappling. And seeing how Wonder Boy trains with Wyman, meaning he trains with Matt Serra, meaning his ground game is ridiculous and his wrestling game is ridiculous. And it's gotten better because after that Matt Brown fight, he learned he cannot be on his back. He cannot not know what to do. He needs to learn the proper techniques, and he needs to learn how to have better takedown defense than he has. Like he showed in the Johnny Hendricks fight, even though Johnny Hendricks hasn't looked the same since USADA and hasn't really made weight since USADA, so amongst other fighters, so sorry, I have a list, so sometimes I might say some words that just don't sound right, and they're not. Gosh, that's why I say gosh. But yeah, that's just gonna be an incredible night. And Alvarez versus Conor, this is really the fight that I'm least excited about because. Oh, by the way, I think Tyrone is gonna catch him and stop him, but Wonder Boy can easily beat him, easily dominate him if he stuffs a few takedowns, keeps his distance, uses that front side kick to just keep him at a distance and rock him at a distance and time the explosive exchanges right. He's gonna easily win. So it's really a 50-50 fight, but I'm just leaning towards Tyrone Woodley. And Alvarez versus McGregor, I see it's really on Eddie. If Eddie is too egotistical, too brave with it, and just wanting to go out and strike, you give the striker the striking chance to land on you. But if he plays it smart, goes for the takedown, secures the takedown, he could easily win this. He could tire him out. No, he was able to hold down Pettis, who's a bigger, stronger, explosive striker than McGregor. We all could at least say he kicks a lot harder than McGregor. I don't know if he punches harder. He might punch physically harder, but not as fast. And sometimes punches are dependent on the speed and you not seeing them, how much they hurt you more than a stronger punch that you do see. So there's one thing people don't take into account. There's different variations of power. Not all people who get a lot of knockouts hit necessarily hard. They just hit really fast. And the older they get and the slower they get, the less knockouts they get. Like Mayweather. The reason he got so many knockouts early is because he was fighting dudes his own size, and B, he was just a little faster than he was later on in his career. Later on in his career, he was a little stronger because he had to get stronger because he got bigger because he moved up in weight, but he didn't have the same speed. Same thing with Shane Mosley. Once Shane Mosley went to 154 and he got caught with steroids and he was big and yoked, he was hitting harder than he ever hit before, but he was hitting slower and less often. And that's the thing. There's differences from that and someone like, let's see if a good one. Differences between power that, because I don't want to give y'all an old fighter. I'll give you like Nigel Benn, but I don't know if many of y'all are gonna know who Nigel Benn is. Like he just hit you and he threw everything into it and it doesn't matter. All right, here's a good one though. But yeah, Nigel Benn, check him out, beast. Dude's a beast. One of my favorite old school fighters. Someone like Anthony Rumble Johnson. Like he just throws a punch and it obliterates people usually with iron chins. Like Glover Teixeira, who had never been stopped like that. I can't even remember him being stopped. I don't know if he was stopped earlier in his career, but as far as the UFC, he was never knocked out, and that was just a one-punch knockout. So there's differences in power. Like someone like Anthony Johnson is just that fucking strong. Like he just hits that hard. As for someone like Conor McGregor, just hits that fast. And on top of that, it's the way he sets it up. It's hard for you to see it, the angle that he throws his left from, because when he throws it in a position where either you're like what he did to Mendes, where he set it up with the jab and then threw it and then extended it completely, as far as he completely turned his body into it to get the full extension to land at the end and do it really quick. That's why it was so powerful. And there's also accumulation, or what he did against Aldo, who I would love to see the rematch, and I'll be going for Aldo in the rematch. But the way he set it up is like he caught him coming in with the lean back and throwing it straight when the dude's throwing a hook, and the dude's not going to see that straight, and that's why it knocks him out. It's not because it's extremely powerful. It's because he caught him where you couldn't see him, and on top of that, Conor McGregor's style is based on being the taller fighter, the more rangier fighter. That's why when he fought someone like Max Holloway, he could have knocked Max Holloway out. And he caught Max Holloway with a lot of really hard shots, probably some of the hardest shots he's landed in the UFC, but he couldn't stop him because he's not used to being the shorter guy. There's a difference when you have that elusive style between being short and being tall. There's people who are good at it, but only when they're taller. And then when they fight someone taller, it gives them a problem. As to where there's some people who are good at it when they're always shorter, but when they fight somebody shorter, it gives them different problems because they get different looks, and it's not something they normally see. It's like fighting a regular fighter and a southpaw fighter. Orthodox stance and a southpaw stance. It looks the same, but it's not. Different angles, different setups, different techniques used to get in and out. And that's one thing I learned about boxing when it comes to that style. It's like when I fought shorter dudes, I had more problems because I was normally the shorter guy with this style. I was used to being shorter on the outside with my hands a little lowered, dodging punches, landing my punches, and getting out the way because it was the way I covered distance. It's the way I set people up. One thing about those styles, and a main problem why Conor McGregor is bad at being the shorter guy with less reach and having that style, is if you're smaller, you have to have good foot movement, meaning you constantly have to keep moving your feet, slight steps, front, side, back to back, little feints, using your hands. You have to use every trick in the book to be the shorter guy and to control that distance. So when you're the taller guy, you don't want to move around too much, especially moving forward, because when you're the shorter guy, you have to move forward a lot. It's one thing people don't understand. You have to move forward, you have to lean your body forward, kind of like what Dominic Cruz does, so that person gets that target range, and then when they throw at that target range, you have the extra space of you actually going to your regular stance and then going completely back, leaning back. So that's two levels of stance and of dodging that you can use from leaning forward and being the shorter guy while stepping forward, while keeping your hands up, while throwing feints, while using foot movement to create certain angles and using those feints to get somebody to open up so you could cut certain ways. A lot goes into fighting people. That's all I'm saying. So when you're the taller guy fighting the shorter guy, you don't want to really move too much, because the more you move, the more you give the shorter guy what he needs is movement. Because if you guys are just standing still and you're taller with longer range, all you need to do is back up. All you need, as far as lean a little and constantly throw straights, you're good. That's all you really need to do. And that's what Conor likes to do. And he likes throwing a few hooks on the outside, a few uppercuts, but all those things are center line. Like even his hooks, like the way he throws his hooks and the way, especially the way he throws his uppercut, it's almost like a jab. It almost has the form of a jab until he extends it at the end. Unless he gets close and he throws a proper hook, he definitely has a good hook. But that's the thing about being the taller guy with short. Like that's why people have that difference. And when you're in the same height, when you're around the same height, it's a combination of both, and it makes it very difficult. That's why it's not an easy style to have, use. And one thing I don't like about when people criticize someone like Mayweather for having that style is like you don't understand how brave you have to be, because you turn your head at the wrong moment, too early, too late, you're gonna get hit clean and it's gonna hurt, and you're gonna have little to no defense to withstand the impact. It's that split second that gives you the perfect time to avoid it. You'd either roll with it, put your hand up, step out a bunch of things you can do. So that's why I don't like when people say fighters are cowards and runners. It's like, nah, they ain't running, you know. Like even someone like Alice Overeem, he wasn't running. He was just extremely motivated to get back on set, because in the position he was standing in, he was like, if I stay here, I'm gonna get hit a few more times and I'm getting knocked out. And this dude's chasing me, and he has a good angle on me. I literally have to get from here to wherever I need to go for him to stop chasing me so I can turn around. If that is considered running, it's like it's for a reason. It serves a purpose. It's not just done let me just run. It's like, no, I have to do this, because my style isn't to be on inside throwing short punches. That's the other guy's style. So I need to get back to where I'm needed and where I'm more effective at. So yeah, as far as that, I'm very excited about that. And before I go, I want to break down